Hi, I'm Ricky Fort and welcome to the Real Estate 101 podcast. Join me as I lift the lid on the real estate industry and share some great stories from behind the scenes. Like and subscribe and enjoy this episode. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Real Estate 101. I'm Ricky Fort from Geelong Real Estate Co. And I've got Jayde, today's very special guest from her own business. I've got a couple of businesses actually, but here to talk predominantly about styling. So welcome, Jayde.
Thank you for having me.
So give us a shout out about your couple of businesses you're running.
So primarily property styling is twice the charm. So Mum and I have a business together and we started that back in March 2020 actually. We tell this story quite often that our first job was during lockdown. So we went to our first job and had been confirmed and there was rumours of the virus. We knew about that. And then mid-job I had gone to pick up a few styling elements. And on the radio, they said, "Oh, we're locking you down for 2 weeks." And I arrived back at the house and I said, "Oh, they're talking about a 2-week lockdown. How are they going to do that? How are we going to work through this?" Anyway, so we finished the property and we were like, no one's even going to see it. So our very first job, it was fun, but at the same time, not many people saw it because of lockdown. So that was our introduction into property styling.
Love that. All right. So in the show, we like to go way back. So, go all the way back. Tell us about where you grew up. So obviously you're a Geelong girl.
Yeah, Geelong, born and bred, not far from here actually. So I grew up in Herne Hill.
Yep.
And I went to high school at Western Heights College. And not long after that, I went and studied at Deakin University. Initially, after year 12, I wanted to head into marketing commerce. I originally, going back, wanted to go and do psychology. So all my subjects in year 12 were psychology based and sciencey and things like that. And then when I kind of broke it down, it was what about psychology did I love? And it was understanding the way people work, how they think and different things like that. So based on that, I thought maybe business might be better and coming in at a communications marketing angle of it. So I got into commerce at Deakin and while I was studying, I got a job in event management and marketing.
Where was that?
So Planet Roxy with Roxy Bennett.
Yep.
Yeah, so I basically did 1 day a week there interning. And then a job opened up there and I got priority pick and I said, well, I'm still studying, And then they basically said, you know what, we're happy to give you this opportunity. You know how the business works and things like that. So I kind of came in on there without really any event management experience other than what I'd interned at. And yeah, had a role there for, I'm going to say a year and a half. And that kind of put me in that position. After that job, I went back and studied back into my degree, but I had a lot of people kind of asking me for just odd jobs here and there to do events and on-the-day management, marketing campaigns, and they were pretty big businesses in Geelong, so I thought they were great opportunities. So I started freelancing and off the back of that started my own business. So
What was that called?
Hey Jayde.
Yep.
Yep. Basically, my name, Jayde Heywood.
Yep.
Hey Jayde.
But also,
and that's how you start a conversation.
Yeah, it's a good play on words. Yeah,
exactly.
Well, there you go. It shows how stupid I am. I actually thought that was the point of it, the play on word. But yeah.
No, so many people think that. And I'm like, actually, no, my name's Jayde Heywood.
You know what? It works.
Here we go.
Either works.
Yeah, exactly. So, started that business and I had run with that for a while. And then I still love it and I still dabble in it. But Mum and I were looking for something to do. Mum, like my youngest sister Lily, she just finished year 12 and Mum was looking for something that she was passionate about. And it was that kind of part of her life.
Yep.
So we were discussing and talking and one of my friends who's in real estate said, have you ever thought of styling for real estate? Because you do a lot with styling events and that can be translated. And I said, I've never really thought about it. But Mum has a real estate background. So
does she?
Yeah. Yeah, back in the day.
How far back?
A while before kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she was still working in the industry when I was born.
Yep.
When my sister, we're 13 months apart, was born as well.
Your mum didn't mess around.
No, she didn't. Well,
2 under 2, obviously, yeah.
Yeah. So it was a pretty quick turnaround. Anyway, then so basically we married those two together. My friend said, let's My friend said, let's get you in a few jobs and see how you like it. And yeah, basically.
This is your real estate contact?
Yeah. So Twice the Charm was born off the back of that.
Yep.
We started studying interior design.
And obviously the name Twice the Charm.
Yeah.
Mother-daughter duo.
Yeah. I was
Twice
like,
the charm, damn it.
Yeah, exactly.
I get it.
Charm. We want you to be charmed as you walk in the property, right?
I get it.
We want to win them over. So yeah, that's basically where the name came from. We started studying interior design. And
I see you're still big on studying and that. You're always at conferences and learning. I think I take my hat off to anyone in any profession that wants to continue to learn, thinks they don't know it all. So yeah, I'm always impressed that you guys are continually investing in that. And
yeah, well, I think as well, like you can think you know something and you know a lot, but when you're put in a situation where there's varying opinions and people coming from different perspectives and professions, you start to pick up on different things. Yep. So you don't know what you don't know, right?
Saying, write that down, Brandon. Yeah. Yep.
Put that in your notes,
yep.
Affirmations for the next couple of weeks. But yeah, so you don't know what you don't know. So you've got to continue to learn to find out what you don't know, because your business can be going on one track, but you can learn a few things and realise that's not the most beneficial track for you.
And I think with your business too, obviously so much changes, like maybe not from a business running perspective, but just from like a styling perspective, like obviously so many things coming and going. And
yeah, well, during COVID, the pandemic was really difficult for us, especially we were like, surely it's not this hard, but trying to get hold of stock was severely underestimated. People would assume that it was quick to you could just walk into a shop and grab something off the shelf, and it definitely wasn't like that. It was hunting pieces down to try and finish a house, and it was very hard and difficult. So when we started, it came from a necessity of needing a product. Now we're in a position where we can actually plan and understand. We've fell into a niche and a style, and we have a particular style that people see our images on social and they go, we actually want this copy and paste in our house. We want this look, we want that look. It's not too harsh, and we've come to the understanding.
What's that style with the checkers?
Gingham.
Yeah.
Everyone asks me about that.
I put that with you for some reason. I don't know. I just always think about, and like the browns and the tans and the
tonal
Kim Kardashian
kind of look. Oh, Kim Kardashian influence. So. Yeah, that is so me. Anyway, but yeah, we do a lot with gingham and things like that, but that we steer away from a lot of pattern. I think when people walk into a house, we have to make it so neutral that people aren't focusing too much on the pieces and the furniture. It complements, not take away. It doesn't take away from the property in itself, which I think is essential, especially with real estate styling.
Yeah.
And it's very different to styling a house for sale and then styling the house to live in. It's two completely different things.
How do you go about like managing relationships? Obviously, I find any tradesperson that works with multiple real estate agents, obviously, and there's multiple property stylists in Geelong. How do you go about maintaining relationships with everyone?
I think it's about,
because you don't want to come across as like someone's favourite or whatever, because that becomes.
It's a very competitive industry. I think
really?
Yeah. Well, that is very well known that it is. I just think being authentic and straightforward with the people that you work for and with. We don't have favourites, and we have so many people that cover different areas of Geelong that it rarely clashes. There have been some situations that have been awkward for us.
We're after spice. Bring it.
No, just where we've been brought in by an agent to quote a house, but they have not proceeded.
Didn't end up getting the sale.
They didn't end up, and that's put us in a really awkward position.
How do you manage that?
We let the real estate agent know that brought us in. So we let the agent know what's happened. This particular occasion, we didn't actually realise that real estate agent didn't get the job. So we proceeded while liaising with the client. And then when we went to organise keys was when it happened. Yeah, so we said to the client, we'll go pick up the keys from such and such's office. And they said, actually, we've gone with someone else.
Yeah.
So that's how we initially found out. And then that was when we immediately told the agent.
Yep.
And they were okay with that.
And you'd like to think that the person selling the property would have done the right thing and called the agent before, but it doesn't always happen. So
That's exactly right. And it's all about, we assume, there's some element of communication on their end.
What do they say about assumptions?
Yeah, I know. Don't assume. We assumed something the other day, and it was an apartment building, and no one had notified them that we're installing. And so you've got to obviously notify when there is apartment buildings.
The elevator and...
Yeah. So it's all protected and stuff, and they weren't aware, and it was the whole thing, and it was just, So then... Yeah, exactly right. You shouldn't assume, but at the same time, when you're communicating so much with someone, you think, okay, we're all over it. And we're still referencing this agent's name in emails. So we thought, there was plenty of opportunity to tell us. But you know what? It is what it is. But we don't think about it too much. We are just happy to help everyone out where we can. We have great relationships with a lot of agents in Geelong, and there's some that we haven't even worked with yet. Yeah. But would love to work with.
How did you go about getting your name out there, I guess? Like, did you just go around and introduce yourself to people, or did you just start following them on Instagram, or?
There was varying elements within kind of networking and things like that. I was heavily involved with the Geelong community already prior to the business. So I already had I already had people that I had networked with in the industry that helped us a lot in that process. And then basically just attending a lot of networking events, following a lot of people on socials.
Do you feel like socials is a bit of a delicate game? Again, like you can't be seen to like being too complimentary around one agent, like, blowing smoke because, the competitor's watching and they're like, feel that you're favouring. What do you think that much about it, or you don't really think about it?
No, I don't think too much about it because we don't view it that way.
Yeah.
Like we don't view it like that at all.
Well, that probably goes back to, like you said, just being authentic and not worrying too much about it. Just do you.
Well, we want to help everyone. We know that a lot of the people that we're working with are small businesses.
Yep.
So we want to support them in any way that we can.
Yep.
And it's not so much about the person. It's more about supporting them in their endeavour to be the best.
Have you ever had a run-in with another stylist?
Not a run-in per se, but we have, been outbid on jobs. We know people that have gotten the jobs that we've missed out on or that were available quicker than we were. We've never had run-ins. We look up to a lot of the other property stylists in Geelong.
Yep.
We all have different styles, and sometimes we might identify that we can't accommodate a particular client, and so we recommend.
Yep.
So
you just pass on all the shitty ones that you don't want to deal with?
No.
Too high demanding? Oh, you should go and see ABC.
Yeah. No, seriously though, I think that's also part of just being like authentic about it. We're not here to, go, this is our job, da. And we come in with the best intentions for the client.
Yeah.
And if we recognise, there's certain things that we probably couldn't do, we would say something.
What's the worst thing that's happening on a styling job?
Oh, what's the worst thing? I can't even remember. Like things like stuff not fitting in through the doorways, the furniture not matching. But that's more like us in that aspect. It's not the worst thing in the world. But for us, because
has it worked out the way you planned? Or
well, we basically. We're studying interior design. So we come from a different perspective that we take into account the floor colouring, the cabinetry, the trims, everything, and we try and mould it all together and communicate that through our styling.
It's hard because being in the industry, and obviously I've seen jobs that you've done for me and you've done for other people and stuff. It's funny, sometimes you're on realestate.com, you're scrolling through and you can see, I personally can see who styled what property from a mile away now.
Yeah.
And there's a couple that might have even come from out of area that potentially aren't more on the affordable side.
Yeah.
Put it nicely.
Yeah.
And it's heaps of like Kmart, and you've got no idea how glad I am to not see the cockatoo anymore.
Or the animal prints, like the black and white, like the koala.
Every single house.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
So what do you do with your stuff when you're not using it anymore? Like once it's past its shelf life, whether it's starting to get worn out or out of style, do you just sell it, or what do you?
Just sell it. Some of it's just sitting there. Eventually we'll try and get around to a sale or something like that, or we throw it.
Yeah.
There's some stock that is damaged.
Yep.
So we wouldn't want to resell that. A lot of our biggest issue is sun damage.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
Yeah,
so
okay.
because you've got to think these pieces are sitting in the same spot for 6 weeks straight. And if a window hasn't been covered up or the blinds aren't down
through summer, and
it can damage our stock quite badly.
Have you had many smash prints like come off a hook and then you and your mum are like pointing fingers at each other of who hung that one?
There was one particular one, but it was kind of just like, oh, well, it is what it is. I think with certain things we cut our losses.
Yeah. Don't lose sleep over it.
Yeah, there's no pointing of fingers either. Like if someone stuffs up, they stuff up.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? Like we've all dropped a vase here and there. Mum's dropped a few more than the rest of us. Like pots and things like that for plants. Like there's just different things. Or we got this beautiful like marble like plate thing to put on a table as like a centerpiece, and I had it like secured and it rolled out between this tiny line. I had it in a basket and it rolled straight out, and I just saw it go and went bang and smashed, and I was like, no, and it was like $80.
Have you damaged anyone's property before?
No. There have been people that have tried to get out of paying and have said you've damaged it.
Yeah.
But we take photos of everything.
Yeah. That's a good lesson for a business owner. Like,
yeah, take photos of everything, and we video everything as well when we're in
Clever.
there. So
don't try and pull that shit on us.
No, but that's the thing. Some people would.
Yeah, it's a shame.
And we have had that previously.
That's dealing with the public though. When you deal with hundreds or thousands of people, there's going to be people in every industry, right?
Yeah, and the thing is, we've had hundreds of jobs, and like, there's only one person that really comes to mind in that situation. So like you think about it and it's like it is what it is, we know that we do a good job and we try our best.
What's it like working with family? Have you ever wanted to strangle your mum?
No.
She want to strangle you?
Yes.
You're probably
oh yeah, today she was like, even this morning, so we had to unload the truck and she goes, you told me there was nothing in here, there wasn't much at all. Yeah. You told me. And I was just like, yeah, well, I didn't think there was that much. And she's like, you're too optimistic. And I was like,
there's worse things to be called than that.
Exactly right.
So who drives the truck?
Me. Yeah.
Wow. What
truck
sort of
driver.
What sort of license do you have for that?
You don't need one for the size of the truck that we drive.
Okay.
Yeah. So we actually hire our truck from budget. We don't have.
So it's fair to say you do it all. You drive the truck.
Yeah.
You do the quotes. You do the installs.
Yep.
You
Answer
run the social media.
Social media.
Invoicing.
It's definitely across everyone though.
Yep.
So it's Mum and I, and my sister Grace also works with us. So there's 3 of us. So
it needs to be 3 times the charm, really.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the thing is, we always joke about that it needs to be 3 times the charm, because 3 of us walk in, they go, we thought you were twice the charm. It's actually really funny. But so like working with family is great. There is this perception you shouldn't work with family, and so many people say it consistently, but they're the people that are willing to go that extra mile for you, the people around you that are very close-knit, that see how hard you work. They want to work hard for you. We find that a lot with Grace. Grace has been the most supportive person within Twice the Charm. She was there when we couldn't pay anyone. She was just there to help us. Day in, day out. She's been a huge support to Mum and I.
How did you go running the business? Like, so once you kind of got started and then COVID came in, you're like, you know what, this is going to be some pretty lean times. What was that like? Tell us about the times. I think everyone just focuses on the glamorous stuff, but people aren't very honest and think about times when you're like, fuck, maybe I'll just go back to working at Kmart, or like, I can't do this.
Literally. And it got to a point where we were just questioning it and going, what are we doing? Like, is there any point to this? Are we ever going to come out the other end? Because it did not feel like we were going to, when it was everyone around me still had jobs, was still working, was still online, and I was just sitting there doing nothing.
Yeah.
And the hardest part about that is I've never sat and done nothing. And so for me, I've
definitely
always
got that
businesses.
Entrepreneurial
and sometimes it's so annoying. Like, why am I like this? You're so frustrating.
Yeah.
I just want to like bang my head up against the wall. But at the same time, I'm like, you know what? I love it too much. I love working. I love always being busy, having my mind, pulled in different directions, having conversations with people about various things and sharing my experiences. I love listening to other people's experiences.
Yep.
COVID was pretty hard. Like, it was, we were still getting asked to quote properties, But really, without inspections, a lot of people didn't see the point.
Yeah.
And so we were like, is there a point to this?
Yeah.
Like, what is the point? But then we transitioned the business and I was like, we can't just sit here and, idle. We need to do something about it. And that's when our education came first. And we started a blog. We got our website up and running, started blogging, started getting guest bloggers, started talking to a lot of people, started posting a lot on our social media and doing what we could at home. And then it was things like sourcing things online for people that they could order themselves, or they would send photos of their property and we would say, this piece and this piece
You're
would
a
go on
goer. It's impressive.
Yeah, and I hated not doing anything. And then there was I had this idea of a podcast, and my friend Stampsy, who used to be on K-Rock, now she's up at iHeartRadio, we were talking about it, and we're just like, there are people in especially in my situation, that have started to follow their hobbies because they've lost their jobs.
Yep.
And we called it passion to profession. It was basically people that started in a profession that they had a degree in, and had various experience in, and then totally just transitioned into their passion.
Yep.
And we saw that a lot during COVID. And I was like, we need to start talking to people that are getting on the back of this and showing people and putting something out there that people can see and go, okay, yes, I can do it too.
Yep.
I'm stuck in this rut. Like me, the mental load was terrible. Because you just start thinking about so many different things and it's like, oh, why?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we wanted to put something out there that would motivate other people that were maybe in a situation I was in that had certain skills.
Cooped up at home and...
Yeah, and had time to do things and wanted to do things but didn't think they could.
Yeah.
And there is that perception is like they look at what other people are doing and they say, I can't do that.
Yeah.
What makes you think I could do that? But I think there's so many resources now and so many things available that everyone can do anything they want, really, if they push really hard for it.
Have you had any jobs that you've ever walked in and thought, this house is a shit heap, there's nothing I can do for you?
Yeah, there have been several. And it's like...
I'm not sure what you think styling's going to do here, sweetheart, but this hole in the floor is not...
We go, this is a knockdown, surely. They've got mould all over the ceilings.
Yeah. And because you're not going to want to put your stuff in there because it's like...
Yeah.
Not great for your stuff.
But some people do push it and they're like, well, we really need that. Like we think that we need that to just push it over the line.
Yeah.
There
to
have
get
been
someone to see past that you could potentially do something with it, not just knock it.
Exactly. And it could potentially be lived in until there's a point where you could. But there are some that were, nah. You know that it's a write-off.
Have you had stuff come back with mould and that on it?
No, we have had mouse poo and stuff and stained, like there must have been an animal in the house or kids picking their nose and it's so foul.
Yeah.
And it's so funny that we picked up a property and clearly there'd been a kid that had been picking their nose in there and putting it on our chairs and our pillows and that. And Mum can't handle snot and she's like, ooh, ooh. And I'm like, I don't want to touch it. We ended up leaving stuff at the property because we were like, we can't touch it.
Wow.
It was terrible. But at the same time, it was just like, that's not the owner's fault. Just put it out on the street.
Is it though?
Oh, well, not if they're not. It's a vacant property.
Oh, yeah, right.
Right. It's a vacant property. And it's like someone who's come through's had a child that started wiping their nose on stuff. And
what about the fake apple? You see those have got teeth marks in them all the time.
Oh, any fake fruit. Or there's certain things that you're just like, why? Oh, It's like people burn candles when they're not meant to. Or there's different things where that's just for show.
Yeah.
But it's so funny. There's so many things that people actually think we put real plants in a house. No.
Yeah.
I was like, we can't come and water them weekly.
Or a couple of times a week.
Yeah. It's not like we can just duck down where, have the freedom to do that. I think there are businesses that actually do it, but we don't.
We had a card actually from someone recently that's what they do. They just put plants in and they'll go in a few times a week and... Yeah, it's a whole other thing.
I know. And
dedication.
But there have been clients that have specifically asked for real plants. They want real plants in there. And we can't supply that, but we're like, feel free.
I'll give you a card.
Yeah, please.
we can
Here
network.
you go, palm that one off.
Talk to me about, actually on that, we had, speaking of pets, we had one recently that
the guy, same thing, had moved out, but there was a neighbourhood cat that was sleeping on the outdoor furniture.
Yeah.
Like a white fluffy thing, and it just absolutely trashed this outdoor setting. And we'd sold the property and we hadn't been back in a while. We're waiting for it to go unconditional, and we came back and we're like, ooh.
Yeah, sometimes it's just a write off.
What do you do?
Like you can't do anything about it. There has been an instance where someone had a cat and it got into the property and it had laid on the beds and things, and we started packing up, and I just started sneezing because I'm like really allergic to cats.
Oh dear.
And I'm sneezing. I had to leave the house because I started having an asthma attack. I'm like, I can't unload this. And poor mum, because my sister was over, like Grace was over in Europe. So mum had to do the rest herself, and I was like, I feel so bad for her.
Beauty of working with family.
And there were stairs, and it was a whole thing. And I was just like, oh, but the good thing working about family is you understand when someone's struggling or can't do something. So you kind of just go, okay, I've got to step up here.
Yep.
Mum was very good that day. She supported me through that because I just was so unwell.
What's been a big milestone for the business? Like is it the first time you like staged, 1 a week or 2 a week or 3 a week, or like what's some important milestones for the business?
There's been a few.
Like things that you've enjoyed celebrating.
Yeah, well, our first couple of jobs. Then there was we tried to reach 100 jobs last year, and we fell short by like 3 houses.
Oh, brutal.
Yeah, it was so like tough. But a milestone for us was doing multiple a day.
Yep.
So starting to do 1 to 2 a day, and then booking say 6 jobs within 3 days.
Yep.
That was really good for us, and that was our capacity, and we've noticed that was our capacity.
Yep.
I think also a really cool milestone is when people in certain shops see us shopping and they'll be like, we follow you on Instagram.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I was in Pillow Talk the other day, and one of the ladies in there goes, she came down and said, oh, I want to take you to this section because there's a sales section. So I went with her, and she goes, I follow you on Instagram, so I know you would like this stuff, this.
And was she right?
Yeah.
Shout out Pillow Talk.
Yeah, I was like, that is so nice. We have some great relationships with different places around Geelong, especially like Adair's Pillow Talk.
Yeah. Have you had it much pinched?
Like stolen?
Yeah.
No, not that we know, but
Touch
like we don't, yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess the way we do things, we don't really have a checklist.
Yeah.
Like people, if anything, it's we've accidentally left something behind at a partial.
Yeah.
So like we've assumed that it's the client's and it's ours.
How many times so a partial for people at home is when?
So it can be 2 different things. So one is when someone lives in the property and they might have the bigger furniture like a
Lounge suite,
beds, lounge and different things like that, and we come in and supply the soft furnishings. A partial also is if you've got a 4-bedroom, 2 living house, you might style 2 bedrooms, 2 living. So part of the house is styled. Yep.
Gotcha. Have you had people that like want you to dress up bedrooms and stuff and then have slept in your stuff?
Oh yes.
Yeah,
we
gross.
have, and we've left and they're like white. It's white bedding.
Gross.
And like for a 6-week period, and they're there was a teenage boy.
Ew.
And I was like,
ew.
well, you could see exactly where he'd slept for 6 weeks. And I was like, no thanks. Like you could see hair and body stuff.
Yeah, gross.
Yeah,
okay.
So foul.
What, off topic, how often should people change their bed sheets?
I reckon every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks.
You know what shocks me is when people ask about how often they should change their towels. How often do you think people should change their towels?
2 days?
Oh, that's pretty good. I'd say like, maybe 5.
Oh, no. You need, 3 days max, I reckon.
Yeah, but people I don't change it until it smells. Or sometimes it's like 3 weeks. Isn't that that's so not okay, is it?
That's pretty bizarre. Everyone's different, but yeah, that's gross.
Yeah, it's so gross because I'm like, imagine the bacteria on it.
Yeah.
Nah.
Not for me.
Yeah.
Mate, quickly, we're running out of time. From a business perspective, something that didn't go well outside of COVID.
That didn't go well outside of COVID. I think it's really taxing on our bodies. It's not so much what didn't go well. It's something that's quite hard and difficult for us. It's
because there's nothing of you. When I get up, you're
I'm
about
quite
here.
small. Yeah. And
And obviously carrying stuff upstairs and
Yeah,
it would be
and-
hard on your body.
yeah, so we have suppliers that supply the bigger furniture, so like couches and beds.
Yeah.
But things like dining tables and coffee tables,
Yep.
rugs, TV units, we supply all of that.
Girl
And-
power.
Yeah, and it can be really hard on
No
our
need to go to the
bodies.
gym.
Yeah, no, exactly. I don't. I'm in and out of the truck, and we're loading stuff out, and
Yeah.
then we're trying to get it through door frames that are so tiny in Armstrong Creek.
And you don't want to knock the house around. Have you had anyone try and sue you?
No,
You're missing out.
no, we've. What, the thrill?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a real milestone.
Oh,
When
really?
you've been through a couple of those, yeah.
But
You got a lot to learn.
Sometimes you got to take it as a compliment.
Well, that's it.
Do you know what?
Carry on.
It is what it is.
Just carry on.
What? Why are you being?
No.
Oh, I thought we like to get spicy on this podcast.
Ask away. It's all good.
Yeah, I just did.
What's the question?
Nah, let's not touch on that.
Save that
but
for
no,
another episode.
yeah, we haven't been sued per se, but we have.
Just threats of non-payment. And
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
stuff like that. We haven't done anything like serious enough to.
Yep.
Nothing's been happened.
What's the longest install you've had? Like whether it's just through COVID or whether it kept being like finance extensions or whatever. What's the longest install?
As in what of our furniture has been in the house the longest? There was a house earlier.
It's a
this
record
year.
that no one wants, by the way.
Yeah.
And you have to name the agent after this as well.
Oh,
I'm only
do I
stirring.
want to?
I'm only stirring.
I don't think, to be honest, I don't think it was the agent's fault, and I don't think it was anyone's fault in
Just
particular.
one of those things.
It was a property that was it has been, I would say, a historical part of Geelong, and so it didn't sell, I don't think, because of how old the property was. It didn't really need work on it, and it was at a very high price point, but it was in the right.
But so the customer was
price.
happy to keep paying?
Yep.
Yeah, good.
So we installed like the first week of Jan,
Yep.
and we picked it up probably a month ago.
Yeah, right.
Months.
A couple of quick ones before you go. So in terms of how you've seen the industry change, probably more so from, like a days on market. So how old's the business now?
Yeah, well, we started, our first job was March 2020.
Yeah, so obviously a few years old now. Probably the one main thing I'd say would be days on market or days install or whatever you call it. That's probably gone out.
Yeah, so it's blown out quite a bit.
And that obviously makes it hard from like a cash flow perspective, from needing more gear.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think people talk about the market slowing down. I don't think it's slowed down per se. I think there was a necessity for a lot of people to get down to Geelong.
Yep.
And so there was a boom at that particular time during COVID and the pandemic. People wanted to get down to Geelong to get out of Melbourne.
Yep.
So there was that necessity. But then we were seeing things go like skyrocketing. So they were sitting up here for a very, very long time. And then it's kind of just come back down.
Yep.
Like I don't think it's, totally gone out the window per se.
Yep.
And the market's terrible. I think it's just leveling up to where it was at the start. In terms of seeing things change, we were seeing quick turnovers and things like that during COVID and the pandemic and coming out of that. We didn't really experience it full on until probably last year because we weren't in continuous lockdown and stuff like that. It was a pretty free year for us, and we got a real taste of what the market's like. At the moment, we've also seen the transition of people investing in properties that don't really have to have much done to it. At the beginning, it was people were going into any house at any point. Then it kind of transitioned into we want something to do. We want to work on a house. We want to do it up.
Now that's gone out the window.
Now
just
that's
with how
gone out
much
the
it
window.
costs.
Yep. And then now it's like sitting at new builds are going very quickly. Land is kind of sitting there. We don't really have much to do with that, so I don't really have an opinion on that. But we're definitely seeing if the house is ready to go, there's quick settlements. People are trying to get into new builds pretty quickly. It is those houses that probably do need a few bits and pieces done to it that are taking a little bit longer, and that's where I think styling assists.
Have you done anyone famous's house?
A famous person? No, we've quoted like a few well-known people, but not we
Haven't
haven't
done any
done
of the
them.
footy boys or anything?
So we've quoted some,
Yep.
but we didn't get the job. But that rightfully went to probably stylists that were more
Suited to
them.
Yep. Is that where you want to be?
Yeah, we're heading more into the interior design and styling space. So we have taken on a lot more interior styling clients. So that's different to staging. That's more people who live in the properties and want us to come and do their houses. And a lot of them have been off the back of us staging their house for
That's
sale.
a compliment.
It is a compliment. It's really nice to get asked to come and look at their new property, or if it was an investment, their current house, and seeing what we can do for them. And they understand how we work. We've got that relationship with them. And that's exciting for us. And that's what we're really looking forward to, is the styling of people's homes and making them feel good.
Yeah. Do you reckon there's a business opportunity to kind of reach out to the WAGs and all the the influencers and stuff and been seen to tagging up with them and doing fun stuff with them, or is that not your vibe? Or
it is our vibe, but my marketing brain says we're not there yet. I feel like we probably need more of a platform, and that's where we will be refocusing certain things.
It's cool to watch your business transition and grow, and it'll be exciting to see what you guys do in the next like you said, another unimpeded year with hopefully if the market kind of stays as it is or starts to get even better, it'll be pretty amazing to see what 3 times the charm does for 2023, 2024. But mate, thanks so much for coming on the show. We could
Pleasure.
bang on for hours. I feel like you got a lot more secrets than you let go, but I like that about you. Tight lips.
Quite
but
reserved.
Thanks so much for coming on the show, mate. And how can people find you?
So you can find us on Instagram at twicethecharm _ or twicecharm.com.au.
Love it. Thanks so much for coming on.
Pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.